Welcome to the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. My name is Rob Murgatroyd, and I am a former doctor turned lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I interview some of the best minds on the planet on the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Today's episode is a mini-sode that we call Fri-Date with the Wife. In these mini-sodes, my wife Kim and I deconstruct the strategies that we've developed over the last decade to not only grow personally, but to turn our struggles into lessons and create fulfillment in all areas of our lives. Excuses are over. It's time to live. Let's dig into today's topic. All right, before we jump into this episode, I want to invite you to be considered for my Work Hard, Play Hard Mastermind by completing an application at workhardplayhardmastermind.com. So this mastermind is not like any mastermind you may have been to or heard of, I promise you. This mastermind is for 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs that are working too damn much and aren't taking the time to have amazing experiences around the world with an incredible tribe of people. So every 100 days or so, I drop you into new experiences that are specifically designed to elevate your thinking, to give you new ideas. Look, you get your best ideas not staring at a computer. And actually, this is the way high-level people really collaborate with each other. They do it over a glass of champagne, watching the sunset in the south of France. So if you are ready to do some fun stuff around the world and really, really want to level up your tribe in one shot, fill out an application at workhardplayhardmastermind.com. We'll jump on a call and we'll see if it's a good fit. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Kimberly, get off Instagram while you're doing a podcast. Murgatroyd, how are you today?
I am just fine, honey. Thanks for the shout out.
You know what we're going to do?
What are we going to do?
We are going to talk about the Work Hard, Play Hard 4-bucket system. That was not a fart. That was me.
I was going to say.
Moving around the chair.
That's excessive, no?
It's a leather chair, and I have leather pants on.
That's what she
and
said.
the leather is
well,
grinding.
It's pleather, right?
Here are the 4 buckets, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, these are your 4 buckets, right? Like, let's talk about the concept for a second.
All right. So first, let me say this. Today we're going to talk about what these 4 buckets are, why I think everybody needs to have some form of a bucket system, and how you can use the bucket system. So
it's a whole lot of bucket systems there.
it's a whole lot of bucket systems. So look, here's the thing. You have a lot of areas of your life, right? You got your wife, you got your kids, you got your body, you got your mindset, you
have your business, you have your spirituality,
your finances,
you got
your
everything.
relationships, your health, your spirituality, your creativity. You got all these different areas of your life that you're working on. But it's not so easy to put attention into all of these areas all of the time. So I developed a little system by listening to people who have a system that's similar to this. One of the guys' names is Strauss Zelnick, who sort of introduced it to me. I've modified it a little bit, and my friend Darren also has a bucket system that he uses that is exclusive to creating wealth through finances. And so I took a little of this, a little of that, and I put it together into what I like to call the 4 work hard, play hard buckets. Now, feel free to modify these in any way that you want to, or feel free to use them the way that I use them. So, Kim, what do you want to say about this bucket system before we go too deep?
Well, the first thing about the buckets that I love is that it allows you to compartmentalize the different areas of your life, and it gives you a place to put things mentally, right? It also allows you to decide what are the priorities, because a lot of people are people pleasers and they say yes to everything that comes their way, and then they bitch about it later. So you say yes to being a volunteer for XYZ event, and you have to go every week. And then after the second week, you realize you hate this and you committed, and so then you're bitching about it. So you have to have placeholders, I should say, to decide what you're going to say yes to in your life, because the things that you say yes to are need to be in the priorities, in the top priorities, right?
Yeah, you say yes to one thing, you have to say no to another thing.
Thank you for
you say
getting
no
those words out of my mouth.
You say no to one thing, you got to say yes to another, right? So, look, okay. So here's the thing. You got these 4 buckets, but before I go into these buckets, let me just say this: if these buckets are completely interrelated into each other, you don't think they are, which is why you have a challenge with your work-life balance, right? If you do. But these buckets directly affect each other. So let me give you the 4 buckets, and then I'll tell you how I think about them. The first bucket is your health. And you can, if you visualize a container better than a bucket, then go with a container. But you get the idea, right?
A cubby hole.
A cubby hole, any box, okay? So number 1 is your health. Now, these are general areas. Don't make more than 4 buckets. Your brain is not going to be able to process it. You're going to have to put multiple things inside of the bucket. As an example, the health bucket will contain things like your physical health and your mental health, right? So it's health, mindset, things like that. The second bucket is your business. So we're just going to call that entire bucket your business. Your third bucket is your relationship. And within that bucket are things like your romantic relationship, your relationship with your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, right? So those are all the things that's going to go in that bucket. And the last one is going to be the bucket of play. And inside of that bucket is going to be something like learning a new language, going out to the beach for the day, learning to surf, playing guitar, reading a book, all those things that are related to that area, hobbies, right? So that's going to go in that bucket. So the idea is, as an exercise, look at all 4 of these buckets and assign a number from 1 to 10 with where you think you are in these buckets. So let's say we take health, and don't get like crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like where's my mental health versus my physical health? And just, you get the idea. Like overall. It's just overall, where would you rate yourself? Like, if you're not going to the gym and you're grossly overweight, then, or you're not reading any positive books, listening to podcasts, you're not going to score very high in that area, right? You get the idea. Let's make this really simple. So assign a number, 1 to 10. 10 is like, I'm crushing it. 0 is like, stick a gun to my head. I am doing nothing in this area. I need help. And it's self-assessed. I can't give you a number. You can give you a number.
But can we put a parameter that they can't choose number 7?
Yeah, you don't want to choose number 7 because 7 is a non-committal number. It's the number that people choose when they want to go right down the middle.
That's so true. I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you say to me, okay, you can't choose 7, 6 feels bad, and 8 feels good. High. Yeah, it feels really good. And you either have to commit to good or bad. You can't commit to maybe, you can't commit to the gray. And that's just, it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's you just softening it so that you're not on either side of that fence. 7 is no man's land. You're not allowed to choose 7. Okay, so you come up with a number. And then you do the same thing with your business, and you do the same thing with your relationship, and you do the same thing with play. So let me give you this piece of information. If your health is a 1, where do you think your relationship is going to be? Probably not really good because you're not feeling sexy in the boom boom room. You're, I like that. I just made that up. You are not feeling energetic in the boardroom. I wish I had one more. This is like a doo-wop song from the 50s.
Let's see if you could do it.
If you are not healthy, then you're not going to be playing in the I can't do it.
All right.
So the idea is that they are interconnected with each other. Okay. Now, do you work on these areas every single day? Do the best you can to put some momentum into these areas. Now, I think
intention.
This is where people, I think, get tripped up, right? So I went today. We happened to be fortunate enough that we lived near the beach. So I walked down the beach. I sat for 15 minutes and I looked out at the ocean. So I gave myself a point in the play bucket today, right? I went out.
That's also a really good point for the health bucket. because that's like mental well-being right there.
Yeah, I take a point in each of those buckets. Okay.
Like if you were playing volleyball, I'd toss it into the play bucket.
Or it could be in the health bucket for working out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could be either or. So the point is for you to identify where you are. And what I've been doing, if you follow me on Insta stories, what I've been doing is I've been sort of like pointing out if I'm eating like a big ass salad, I'll take a picture of the salad and I'll say I'm working now in my health bucket. So I got this concept from Strauss Zelnick. Google him. He's not only a billionaire, but he's also America's fittest CEO. He's in crazy shape. He's been the president of everything from Fox to he greenlit Dirty Dancing years ago. His
resume
is insane.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, how do you do it all? And he's like, well, look, if it doesn't fit into one of these buckets, I just don't do it. And so I was like, that's really cool. So now I just look at these buckets and I put momentum every day into one of these buckets. And if it doesn't fall in this bucket, I don't do it.
So I think that there's a few things here. One is to have the bucket and know, like just being able to list out your buckets and what's in them and how you would categorize the different things in your life that you're currently doing. Like try this exercise. Start first thing this morning. Like what did you do the moment your eyes opened? And start making a list of every single thing you did during your day and see if it goes into one of those buckets. And if there are things in your day that you hate doing that are not good, like yes, you have a business bucket or whatever, Rob, you're calling it, but let's say you don't like your job. So that business bucket, yeah, you're at a job that is paying the bills, but you hate it. So putting momentum into finding maybe a way to replace that income with something you do love doing will be a better suit. So you can use these buckets to kind of decipher what you're doing during your day and how you can, one, yes, say yes and no to things, but two, where does the intention need to go to make 4 happy buckets? And Rob, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go against rule number 1 and I'm adding a 5th bucket because I struggle with this. So relationships, health, business, play, so hobbies and etc. But I need a contribution bucket because that's something that is super duper important to me. And there are a lot of things that can go into that bucket in different ways. And so I'm going against your rules publicly and I'm making a 5th bucket. How do you like that?
Yeah, whatever works for you. Just with the caveat of understanding that every bucket that you add to this, you're creating complexity that is going to be harder and harder for you to fulfill all of them because it's going to feel stressful after a while. So if that is motivating, then do it. And I would also add one other thing to this. Let's just say that you score really, really low in the health bucket. If you haven't read the book by Gary Keller called The One Thing, basically you could save the money on the book and I'll tell you what you need to do. It's pretty simple. You ask yourself this one question every single day. What is the one thing that I can do to blank, 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 what I'll explain in a second, to such that by doing it makes everything else easier or unnecessary. So you can ask yourself in the health bucket, what is the one thing that I can do today? Yeah. What is the one thing I can do today in my health bucket such that by doing it makes everything else easier or unnecessary? And so you got to know for you what the answer to that question is. The answer to that question may be something simple like drink water. Like if I drink water today, it's going to make a lot of things easier. Like you're going to move your bowels better, right?
Oh my God.
This is going to make it easier, right? So ask yourself that question in all 4 of those buckets.
That was unexpected. Sorry about that for anybody listening. That's kind of nasty, but we're going to move into this. So, okay, so you take the one thing, right? So how do you suggest people do this? Do you suggest they put it in a journal? Like, what's the application of this? I look at my 5 buckets. I have them written somewhere, a whiteboard, a journal, on my mirror, something. And then what if you wrote, because you can use the marker that you use for a whiteboard, you can use that on the mirror, right? So what if you put each of your buckets every day on the mirror and you had to assign a number to it every single day? And then think about what you are going to do in each of those buckets to make them happier, more plentiful buckets.
Yeah, I think, planning is such an interesting thing because everybody has a different way that they do it. Some people get up early like I do, and they sort of like journal and visualize. Some people, they're much different kinds of thinkers. They just think about it throughout the day. It doesn't really matter. Like whatever your planning system is, or whatever your meditation system is, or whatever your visualization system is, or reminders on a mirror like you describe it. It doesn't, like, you can do it whichever way you want. But the point is that you need to have top of mind to focus on all these different areas. Because if you don't focus on your business, you don't have any money, so you can't do the things you want to do. If you don't focus on your relationship, well, then you're lonely, right? You're not going to have any deep connecting relationships. If you don't focus on your play, then you're going to be really boring, and you're going to be burning yourself out, and you're going to hit a law of diminishing returns by continually working. So the idea is that if you don't do something like really, like in relationships, it could be leave a note for your spouse. If you don't do one little thing and don't have positive momentum in those areas, it's not, are you going to pay a price? It's when. You're going to pay a price if you ignore one of these buckets. So why not be intentional about it in any way that you want to do it? If you want to do it like I do in my push planner, I put it in the random section of my push planner. Or if you want to be like, Kim's idea, write it, on your mirror in your bathroom. Doesn't matter to me as long as you do it.
You know what else I think I'm going to do? Because I'm going to really take hold of your bucketing idea here. I am going to take each bucket and brainstorm ways that I can improve that bucket in 2020. So like, let's say relationships, because I can look and go, well, I made Rob lunch today, so that's a point in the relationship bucket. Or I could brainstorm different ideas that I could do each and every day to really add value to that bucket and not just like check the box, Yeah,
and I'll tell you, since I started doing it on Instagram, those who can't do teach, right? So I put myself right in that category. So what I'm noticing is that it's very easy for me to to post my business bucket. It's very easy for me to post my health bucket. But relationships, well, I love my wife, but I set a very high standard there for me wanting to do something that I feel qualifies for that bucket. So I got to think about it. And then even as much as I love to play, it's still like there's always something more important, right? There's always some business thing or relationship thing or dad thing or, so.
But all those things qualify, right? So like in the relationship bucket, in 2020, maybe you want to be a better friend and have more conversations with friends that are just conversations and connecting and not about business and not about a problem and not about different things. Maybe you just want to show up differently for your friends so you can write those things down. Maybe you want to show up differently for your spouse or your health or yourself. Maybe you want to start meditating. Like I've actually really started meditation, which is great because before I did yoga to be my meditation because it was a very flow-driven practice. Well, I'm not in that kind of practice now, so I actually have to meditate. So I'm putting that into that bucket and I'm coming up with new ideas to elevate that. So I think, step one, what are your buckets you want to focus on and put intention into every day? Step two, what are the actions that you can actually take in each bucket? And step three, score yourself at the end of the day and see where you landed in those buckets.
Yep. I think you are 100% right that you should pre-bucketize yourself and come up with some ideas of ways of making it better. And so what happens is, like everything else, you start gaining awareness in where you are weak. So for example, if left to my own devices, I could be quite introverted and not go. I could be antisocial and not want to go out. But in 2020, I decided that I want to say yes more and I want to connect more to male friends relationally, right?
Okay, let me tell you what it means. He has a weird thing where he doesn't like to be alone with any other women. And so he doesn't want to connect more with female friends. So I'm sorry for all the female friends out there. He doesn't want to connect one-on-one with the female friends. Is this correct?
Can
we talk about that for a minute?
I just don't.
We're going complete aside over here.
I think you're setting yourself up for problems. If you're alone with a woman, like, I don't want to sound like
like you can't keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm a preacher.
Like, are you afraid of something? Are you afraid your new testosterone is going to take over and you're just going to be an animal? Like, what?
I think
it's better than that.
I think it's difficult for women to be around me for very long. I think they get all charged up.
Listen, if they can take Tuesday and Thursday nights and make dinner, that would be super beneficial.
They start laughing, and once they're laughing, they're feeling good. And
I am down for a sister wife.
Then the next thing you know, I don't like that. But listen,
can she do laundry?
Here's the point. The point is, I booked 4 lunches with guys over the coming, let's call it 4 weeks, to connect in a deeper way with them and, start establishing more connections.
Nice job, boo. Nice job. Well, I love that. I love this bucket system. And I can't wait to see how everybody starts to implement the bucket system and fill their buckets, and maybe not in mixed company.
Try the bucket system. Let me know what you think about it. And I'd love to hear what your buckets are. And for those of you that are entering our vision board contest, send us a video explaining.
No, post on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, and tag us in your vision board. Let us know what you're envisioning for 2020. Make it big, make it bold, make it yours. Tag us, and you will be entered to win a spot in our upcoming 90-day virtual mastermind.
There you go. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode and you know someone that needs some help in either stepping up their work hard game or their play hard game, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with them to help me get this movement out there. So if you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes, take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. So until the next episode, excuses are over. It's time to live.